I'm sure that he'll just need some time before he's back to normal now. Really? Zheng Kai's face brightened in relief. That's good. In his short time with Bai Yunfei, Zheng Kai had already felt like Bai Yunfei was a proper and true friend of his. The fact that Bai Yunfei was so injured now made him worried and regretful that he couldn't himself help Bai Yunfei. So it was fortunate that Bai Yunfei was safe now, else Zheng Kai wouldn't have been able to live with himself. It took another half hour before everyone heard Xiaoqi trill again, this time a little more quiet. Unfolding its wings as if coming out from a cocoon again, the bird had a faint shimmer of light exude from it. The light was comparatively weaker than before. Beating its wings, Xiaoqi dove down to return to Bai Yunfei's side. At that moment, Bai Yunfei's body was still surrounded by a rich wave of elemental fire. It flickered softly as Xiaoqi approached and then was reabsorbed back into Bai Yunfei's body through his pores. In a flash, Zheng Shisong caught Bai Yunfei in a bubble of elemental water to keep him suspended in air. Zheng Shisong's right hand pressed against Bai Yunfei's chest, his eyes concentrating for a moment to diagnose Bai Yunfei's current state. He's fine. He's healed far more in this 1 hour than I would have been able to do in 10. All his ruptured arteries and veins are back to normal and his soul doesn't seem any more injured than what it was before. Right now, it's his physical wounds on his flesh that are the worst. His elemental fire practically scorched most of it before, so recovery should be slightly slower in that regard. But other than that, he doesn't seem like he'll be in any way impacted in the future. Bai Yunfei's condition was stabilized, and Xiaoqi's condition was also far better than before. It didn't take long before the permafrost mastiff finished its initial healing and come over to Xiaoqi to stand protectively over Bai Yunfei. By now, the skies was already very dark, and after some consideration and Jiang Mo's initiative, they all returned to his mansion to rest for the night. They would return to the capital the next day even if Bai Yunfei was still unconscious. As such, Bai Yunfei's affairs in Bishan City was at an end, and Bai Yunfei had escaped from yet another crisis. But this time, another problem had opened itself up to potentially trouble him even more in the future. 5 days had already passed since Bai Yunfei's fight in Bishan City. In those 5 days, both the Zheng and the royal family had their people investigate the matter with the cow. After their group returned to the capital, Bai Yunfei had been brought back to the Zheng so that they could treat and take care of his wounds. His wounds had stabilized for the most part in thanks to the symbiosis.